All right. Hey guys, Mr. Kyle, Myers Mathematics, and let's just jump right into it. This is compound inequalities. So if you've been following this series, started with one step, then two step, then multi-step, and now compound, meaning like there's more than one inequality and we can graph it on one number line. You could also graph it on two number lines, but you can graph it on one, and that's what we're going to do. So as I normally do on these kinds of things, I'm going to start out a little bit slower and then kind of speed up a little bit as I go, start to work out the problems a little faster as I go. So if you feel like you've already kind of got the hang of this, you can skip forward a little bit until you get to a problem where it feels like I'm going at a pace that's not too slow, but not too fast for you. So if you feel like you're more advanced, you want to skip further on into the video. And if you feel like you don't know anything about this, then just stick with me and I'm going to show you how to do this and go real slow for the first couple here. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and dive into number one. There are two equations here, this one or this one. So there's an important word here. There's this word or. In this equation, there's no or and. In this equation, there's an or. And in this equation, there's an and. Okay, so there's actually only two options. The two options, you're either going to see or and. And if you don't see anything, then it's and. Okay, so if you don't see, sorry for my terrible handwriting here, anything, then it's and. Okay, so number two is an and. You don't see an or, that means there's an and. And I'll show you why in a little bit, but and versus or, let's talk about it. Or is sort of like when you need to like if you're working on a team, right? Everybody has a different job, but let's say like if you're going to play a sport, like a team sport, everybody has a different job. Let's say baseball or kickball or softball or something like that. You have to have a first baseman, a second baseman, a third baseman, a pitcher, a catcher, so on and so on. Everybody has to work together to be on the same team. So or is like that. You take different pieces and you kind of view them all as one thing. And if there's any overlap, that's fine. You just consider it like one thing. Like let's say there's like a lot of people, like you're playing a school, if you've ever played kickball in school and there's like just too many people on a team and it's like, well, I guess we'll just have two left fieldsmen, I guess. You just, end up with like some extra people out in the field and it's fine. There's like a specific position in the field, left field. And if you have, an extra person in that field, you don't consider it like two left fields. You just say, okay, well, I just have two people in the left field spot. So that left field spot is taken up. Okay. So if there's overlap, you don't really count it twice necessarily. You just say, okay, well, there's overlap. That's fine. Whereas with and, it's only what you have in common. So and is sort of like a date where you go out with somebody for the first time, you figure out what you have in common. You figure like, do you like sushi? No, I hate sushi. Oh, I kind of like sushi. Oh, that's weird. Okay. So, you're already off to a bad start. But, let's say pretty much everybody can agree they like pizza. If you don't like pizza, you're not American. And if you're not American, that's okay not to be American. But I feel like everybody in America likes pizza. So, you're like, oh, do you like pizza? Yeah, I like pizza. And then just, be careful with the toppings because sometimes the toppings can get a little crazy. Some people really don't like pineapple and some people do. I personally like pineapple. So if you're wanting to know what you have in common with somebody else, that's and. Okay, so or versus and. This one, let's go ahead and solve it. M minus 2 less than negative 8. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Okay, so actually let me get rid of this little arrow here. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Let me rewrite it actually first. Add 2. Add 2. If I want to solve any equation, including an inequality, I need to figure out what's going on. So in this case, it was m minus 2. I'm minusing 2 from m. The opposite of minusing 2 is adding 2, so I add 2 to both sides. That way it is negative 2 plus 2, which is 0. M plus 0 is just m, so I write m is less than negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. Okay, got that. Now, the other one, I just solve it differently. I start over, and I just identify what's going on. It's m divided by 8. M over 8 is m divided by 8. The opposite of divide is multiply. So we multiply by 8, and it cancels out, and I have m is greater than 8. And then I just graph each one individually. Now, if you have been paying attention in the last couple of videos, you knew or know currently that less than and greater than is an open circle. Open circle. Versus less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, that's a closed circle. Closed circle. Right? Like you're going to shade in a multiple choice question. Closed circle. Okay, so hopefully you can see that okay down there. These are both less than and greater than signs, so they're both going to be open circles. Negative 6 is going to be right in between negative 4 and negative 8 because they're counting by they're counting by 2's. So right about there's negative 6. And less than means left. I can even draw a little arrow here, and the arrow points to the left. Más o menos, more or less. So I draw an arrow to the left. M greater than 8, that's right here. Arrow goes to the right. Okay, so you're probably, maybe you're wondering this, maybe you weren't wondering this, like what's the difference then between or and if I'm just going to do that either way? Well, if this was and, if it said and instead of or, there would actually be no answer because they don't have anything in common. If there was some overlap, then there would be an answer for and. There's no overlap, so if it was and, the answer would be no solution. It's only what they have in common. They don't have anything in common, which is fine if we're doing or, because we just combine and put everything all together into one pot. Okay, so on to number 2. This one is kind of weird because it's like a double inequality. And it's and. The reason why it's and is because I can write this as 2 things. And you don't have to do it this way. I think I'm going to solve this one way, and then the next time I see this, I'm going to solve it the other way. So the first way you could solve this would be to split it up. Right, so I'm just going to write this part right here. Negative 1 less than 9 plus n. And, if you don't see a sign, it's and. 9 plus n less than 17. You can actually split this up. Okay, let me draw a little thing here to separate my notes off to the side here. My notes and your notes. By the way, if you want the notes, when we get to the end here and you see all these notes off to the side and you think that's helpful and you want this, just let me know. Let me know in the comments that you'd be interested in having this document here, and I can email it to you. Just, put, hey, I'm interested in the thing, and just like send me your email or something like that, and we'll figure it out, and I'll send it to you if you want it. But you can also just like screenshot these things too from the YouTube video, so that works too. I can write this like this: negative 1 less than 9 plus n, and 9 plus n less than 17. Okay. Well, what I can do here then is I can solve it, right? 9 plus n, the opposite of positive 9 is negative 9. So I go like that. In negative 1 less than 9, negative 1, sorry, not less than 9, negative 1 minus 9, signs are the same, so I add, 1 plus 9 is 10, and then I want to put a negative sign on there, right? It's the opposite of 1 plus 9. Let's go ahead and flip this around too, because this is facing the wrong direction. If I flip it, I have to flip the sign as well. So I have to make the mouth point the other way. Okay. This is the symbol for and, so I'm just going to use that to save myself some space here. I'm going to subtract 9 on both sides. It is going to be less than 17 minus 9. Oh, it's 17 minus 9. I believe that's 8. And we're done. So then n is greater than negative 10. And there's no or equal to, right? So it's still open circle. Greater than negative 10, so it goes this way. Goes this way. And I'm going to use two different colors here so you can see the overlap. So that would be just that solution, in greater than negative 10. The other solution, let's do in red, so that you can see it'll, blue and red make purple. So this solution, n is less than 8. Here's 8. And it's strictly less than, so it goes this way. Okay? So this is and. Only what they have in common. So where's purple? Here's purple. At least it looks purple to me. Okay? Only what they have in common. Well, if it was or, it would be everything because there's overlap and at least one of the graphs is at each and every number. Only one of the graphs is at negative 10, negative 11, negative 12. That's the red graph. And only the blue graph is at 8, 9, 10, so on and so on. But both graphs are between, not including, but between negative 10 and 8. So that's the solution. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to solve this without splitting it up the next time we come across this. Okay, so if you want to see one like that, you can skip ahead to where there's a problem, where we're going to do it this way. But I'm going to go ahead and just go on to the next problem for right now. Okay, so I'm going to switch colors. And number 3, it's an or, so we just solve it. 2x less than 10. 2x is 2 times x. Divide by 2. X is less than 5. Or x over 2 greater than or equal to 3. X over 2 is being divided, so the opposite of divide is multiply. X less than or equal to 6. Okay. So remember, less than means open circle. It's going to the left, and it's at 5. 5, open circle, going to the left. Then over here, we've got x greater than or equal to 6. Arrow is pointing to the right. Here's 6, and I include 6 and go to the right. Not a lot of gap, but there is a little bit of gap, and since it's or, that's okay. If it was and, there'd be no solution because they don't have anything in common. And we're actually done. This one is and. So the solution is only going to be what they have in common. And I think what I'm going to do is for all of these and questions, I'm going to use blue and red. That way purple will be the solution. I might mix it up and do like blue and yellow and green and different primaries to mix and get secondaries. But we'll see. So x plus 8 greater than or equal to 9. And I'll go ahead and write the other one as well while I'm at it. All right, so we just want to solve them, right? So the first step is usually to just go ahead and solve, unless it's like number 2 and you want to split it up first. You don't have to split it up first, but it could make more sense to do it that way. Because I feel like teachers normally don't split this up. They usually tell you, oh, just subtract on 3 sides of the equation. And you're like, what, 3 sides? What? So I'll show you the other way, the way that I believe your teacher probably showed you next, so you can compare it with number 2. Okay? But you normally don't do that. Normally you just solve it, right? You just solve the equation. So x plus 8, opposite of that is minus. Okay, that goes away. And like I said, I'm going to go a little bit faster as we go, and then when we get to the end, I'm going to be going a little bit faster and a little bit faster and a little bit faster. Okay, so we got 2 answers. They're both or equal to, so close circles. 1 is right here. Close circle on that. And it's greater, so go this way. Greater goes this way. And then for this other one, we'll just do red again. Next one we'll do maybe like blue and yellow make green. We'll do red on this one as well. So x less than or equal to 7. Here's 7. Close circle. Less than or equal to. Blue and red make purple again. I'll use a different shade of purple this time, though. At least I think that's a different shade. It's a darker shade of purple. All right, so then I want to close these circles in because they do include this time. And it looks like the place where blue and red are both at is in between 1 and 7. So that's my answer. From 1 to 7, including 1 and 7. All right. And also towards the end, I might also write them in interval notation if I don't forget to do that. So let's see here. Oh, number 5, this is also an and. So let's do blue again. But we'll do blue and yellow make yellow. Or sorry, blue and yellow make green. We have a double inequality. So this is an and. It's only going to be what they have in common. Now here's what your teacher normally probably showed you how to do. And that is, when you have a double inequality, you have not just a left side and a right side. Normally when you're solving, you have a left side and a right side. You have one equal sign. It's an equation, right? Normally you have an equation, you have an equal sign, you have a left side and a right side. Whatever you do to the left, you have to do to the right. That's what you initially learned how to do when you solve things. And that's true. But if you have two signs, then you don't just have a left side and a right side. You have a left side, a right side, and a middle. You have 3 sides. And you actually don't even need to just have 2. You could have more than 2. You could have like 5 different equal signs if you wanted to. It'd be like a quadruple equation. So there's no limit actually to how many you could have. But this one just has 2. We're just going to stick with 2 for right now, I think. It has a left side, a right side, and a middle side. So the new rule then is whatever you do to the left, you do to the right, and you do to the middle. Or if I say it a different way, whatever you do to the middle, you do to the left, and you do to the right, all at once. We're still trying to solve for P. That's the focus. P is being divided by 2, and the opposite of divide is multiply. So I multiply by 2. Well, if I multiply the middle side by 2, I have to multiply the left side by 2 and the right side by 2. So then this is negative 6 less than or equal to P less than 0. 0 times anything is 0. And then we actually have the answer. The answer is just going to be between negative 6 and 0. You could write this as 2 different answers. So I could say negative 6 less than or equal to P, which is the same thing as P is greater than or equal to negative 6. And then the other one is just P less than 0. Okay, so you could write it as 2 answers, but you don't really need to because it's going to be between the 2 numbers as long as it's got less than signs. If it's got greater than signs, you would want to flip it around first. So, P is greater than or equal to negative 6. Greater than or equal to negative 6. This is me solving it according to this, right? And then P is less than 0. Less than 0. Or, if we use green here, this is the answer right here. P is between negative 6, including, and 0, not including. Blue and yellow make green. Green is the answer. Okay? That's what you're trying to do whenever you have and. It's like you're mixing 2 primary colors and getting a secondary color. Okay? Cool. So, number 6, we have an or. I think I'll just stick with green on this one. Excuse me. Get some water. My throat's a little scratchy. Excuse me. R plus 5 is, much better. R plus 5 is greater than or equal to 12. Or R over 9 is less than 0. Okay, let's do this. R plus 5 greater than or equal to 12. I did say I was going to start to speed up a little bit, so I need to make good on my promise here. Opposite of plus 5 is minus 5. I'll stop showing this part as well as we go. So that's 7. I'm going to times both sides by 9. Anything times 0 is 0. So we have r is greater than or equal to 7. R is less than 0. And there's the answer. It's or. So that's why I didn't bother using primary colors. I used a secondary color. And I would recommend doing that if you're having trouble with this at all. Use 2 primary color pens or colored pencils or whatever if you're dealing with and then the overlap is between the 2 primaries where the 2 primaries cross. And if they don't cross, there's no answer. And then with or, just use a secondary color like green, purple, or orange. Because or is just going to be everything that they have together, whether it overlaps or not. Okay, so good rule of thumb if you're having any trouble with this. And let's go ahead and switch colors. We have an or again, so it doesn't really matter if I use primary, secondary, whatever. I'm going to use secondary from here on out if it's or, and primary colors for and then the secondary will be the overlap. Okay, I need to add 5 to both sides. So 5 plus 65 is 70. Divide by 7, and I get 10. On the other one, I need to add 2 to both sides, so I'd actually get 0. Then I need to divide by a negative 3. Now, even though the 0 will be unaffected, when I divide by a negative on both sides, I do still have to flip the sign, even if the other side stays the same. I still have to flip that sign. So v is greater than or equal to 10. Here's that. All right, remember the arrow goes that way. And v is less than or equal to 0. Here's the answer to that. All right, next. We want to subtract 3 on both sides, so negative 10b less than or equal to negative 40. Subtract 3. And then I want to divide by negative 10. Oop, forgot to flip the sign. Flip the sign. And divide by negative 10, I get positive 4. Okay, 3b. And I want to add 10 to both sides here, so negative 15. Divide by positive 3, so I don't need to flip the sign. And I get that. B is greater than or equal to 4. Here's 4. Greater than. B is less than or equal to negative 5. Less than or equal to. Goes that way. They're both or equal to, so they both have closed circles. That one goes right. That one goes left. Okay. Both of these are ands, so I'm going to use, I'll use maybe that lighter green for the answer, so I'll be using yellow and blue again. All right, so we'll just start off with the yellow here. Solving this one, I want to add 1 to both sides. If I add 1 to negative 26, I get negative 25. Negative 26 plus 1 is the opposite of 26 minus 1. So that's how I got that. In greater than negative 5. So there's the answer to that. Change to blue. Add 2 to both sides, and I get 14. Divide by 7, and I get 2. All right, let's go ahead and graph these. So here's 2, and I go less than or equal to. So this way. All right. And then here's yellow. N is greater than negative 5. Oh, so open circle. That's kind of an open circle. It's got a little space in between there. Just a little bit, but it works. Okay, N is greater than negative 5, and blue and yellow make green. So here is my answer. And whatever, if there was an open circle or a closed circle, you just keep that the same. You just keep that the same. Unless it's like or and there's overlap, but this is and. So with the ands, you just keep the closed circle and the open circle stuff the same. This one, I'm going to just go ahead and solve it just straight up. So I'm going to just keep this green color. I want to subtract. Let me actually show you, because this one's a two-step. So I'm going to actually write out the steps for this one. So subtract 6, subtract 6, subtract 6, right? There's 3 sides, middle, left, and right. Whatever I do to the middle, because k is in the middle, so I'm starting from the middle where the variable is. Whatever I do to the middle, I have to do to the left and the right. Okay, so that goes away. 7k. Negative 8 minus 6, I'm adding 2 negative numbers, so negative 14. And here I'm adding 2 negative numbers again, negative 56. Divide by 7, divide by 7, divide by 7. This is going to be negative 8 less than k less than negative 2. Meaning it's between negative 8 and negative 2. Here's negative 8. Here's negative 2. There's the answer. Okay. And remember, just like on number 2, you can split this up if you want to and solve it as 2 different equations, right? So I'll recap here. You can split it up and write it as 2 different equations. Just make sure you call it and if you split it up, okay? So on the next one like this, I'll probably go ahead and split it up again so you can see a more complicated example where you split it up and solve it. Okay. This one's an and, this one's an or. I'm up on yellow next, so we'll just do yellow and blue again, and then I'll use maybe a different shade of green or something, I don't know. And, so we want to use 2 primaries and a secondary. Let's do this. 8, 8, 64, those all divide by 8. Let me divide everything by 8. Divide that by 8. Divide that by 8. Divide that by 8. And then subtract 1 on both sides. There we go. Okay. So if you can divide by whatever the number is in front of x, you can actually do that first. Cool thing about math. Moving on to this one. I want to add 7 to both sides. That means I'm going to be subtracting. So this is going to be negative 72. Okay, add 7 to negative 79. That's 79 minus 7, which is 72, but it's the opposite of that. Then I divide by negative 8. I have to flip the sign, and that's positive 9. I almost wrote negative 9. Positive 9. So then x is less than or equal to 9. That's going to be right here. Why is that? Why am I getting a weird? Add 7, negative 72. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Just right in between. Normally it's at like a nice number. All right, well, whatever. So we get that. That's blue. And then yellow, greater than or equal to negative 9. Here's negative 9. Goes this way. So green is the answer. We'll use this green. It's a nice deep green. I like the darker greens better, like the forest greens. And there's our answer, between negative 9 and 9. All right, we have an or, so we want to use a secondary color. But let's use orange this time. What is this? Gold? It's not orange enough. Let's use this. This is like straight up orange. We're going to start to use orange. We haven't combined red and yellow yet. Ketchup and mustard. Like that SpongeBob show or movie or whatever. Anyways, so we want to subtract 7 on both sides. Subtract 7 on both sides. And then here we want to, let's just divide everything by 3. 1 plus n is equal to 10. Divide by 2, n greater than or equal to 10. Subtract 1 on both sides and we get 9. So here's our 2 answers, n greater than or equal to 10. So that's going to go this way. N less than or equal to 9. So that's right here. Going to go like this. And we're on to number 13. Okay, so we've got a double equation. I did say that next time we had a double equation, we were going to split it up and solve it as 2 different ones. So I'm going to hold true to that promise. And we're going to split this up. So negative 36 less than 3p minus 6. Or, let's use gold. We haven't used gold yet. 3p minus 6 less than negative 15. All right, so then we want to add 6 to both sides. So add 6 to negative 15. and that's going to be negative 9, I believe. We're going to be subtracting since we're adding 6 to a negative 15. So negative 9, and then I divide both sides by 3. Okay, other equation. We still want to add 6 to both sides. So then this is going to be negative 30. And then we want to divide both sides by 3. Right, and we want to flip it around. So there we go. P is greater than negative 10. Greater than negative 10. And P is less than negative 3. Here's negative 3. Less than. So then the answer is going to be what they have in common, which is right here. Not including these, but including what they have in common right here. And there's the answer. All right. I think I'm going to not use gold. Gold was a little bit too close to orange. It was a little close there, so I had to do some extra shading to make sure it stuck out. All right, we have an OR, so I'm just going to stick with that same orange color here. Add 1 to both sides, so that would be negative 10a less than 0. A is greater than 0. Divide by negative. Subtract by 10. Subtract 10, I'd get negative 15. And then I want to divide both sides by positive 3 so the sign does not change. Or the inequality sign, that is. Okay, A is less than or equal to negative 5. Less than or equal to negative 5. A is greater than 0. Greater than 0. All right. What's up next? We have OR and OR again. Let's use, we've already used purple and green. Let's just stick with the orange. I haven't done a lot of orange yet, so let's do the orange for the answer. Or maybe just gray. Do like a decent size gray so you can still see it. And then we'll just do like black and white make gray maybe. Just for fun. Keep things light here. Subtract 2 on both sides. Oh wait, hold on. Here's where it ends. So we've got a couple different things going on here. Let's subtract 3 in on both sides. Subtract 3 in on both sides. Then add 2 to both sides. Then divide by divide by 4. Then flip it around. Whew, that was a doozy. Okay, let's subtract 3 in on both sides. Then we want to add 4 to both sides. Then we want to divide by 5. All right, so there's our 2 answers. And it's OR, so the overlap thing doesn't really matter, so that's why I'm just kind of sticking with the gray here. Less than or equal to 0. Okay. So actually, you can use this method if you want for an alternative. If you don't have any colored pencils, what you can do is just use like kind of lightly shade for your middle color, like a secondary color, and then do a darker shade and an even lighter shade, or you could like do like an eraser where you like outline the thing instead of like filling it in. I don't know. You'll see what I mean in a second. So, yeah, that was the answer. Here we go. We have OR again. Here's OR. I like to circle it sometimes when you have a big equation because then you can see like where one equation stops and the other one starts. So let's subtract 6r on both sides. And then add 5. And then divide by 2. And then over here we want to subtract 3r on both sides. Then we want to subtract 4. And we get that. Okay, r is less than or equal to negative 7. Less than or equal to negative 7. R is greater than or equal to 2. R is greater than or equal to 2. All right, 17 and 18. We're almost done, I think. Yeah, see? Look, here's the answers. All right, a little sneak peek there. By the way, you can just Google this, and get the answers yourself as well. So you can go ahead and pause the video and go look at the answers ahead of time if you want to get a sneak peek. We have 2 ors again, so instead of sticking with gray, I think I'm just going to pick another color that I haven't done yet. Let's do a dark brown. Yeah, dark brown. We've got 2 more ors here, so these are just going to be everything all together, not what they have overlapping. So let's see. We want to add 7x to both sides. Add 5. Divide by 12. Over here, we want to subtract x. Subtract 5. Divide by 2. All right, so x is less than or equal to negative 3, like this. X is greater than 0, like this. And we're done. Over here, we want to subtract 6m on both sides. Subtract 6 on both sides. And we get that. Then over here, we want to subtract 3m on both sides. And we want to subtract 5 on both sides. Then divide by 3. And then flip it around. You always want to have that letter on the left-hand side there, just to avoid confusion. M is greater than or equal to negative 4. Oops, sorry, not greater than or equal to, just greater than. Just greater than negative 4. And then m is less than negative 11, which is going to be in between these two guys right here. And there we go. We have our answers. So let's go ahead and check. And always let me know if I messed something up in the comments below. There was one question where I was like, wait, that's the answer? It was this one right here, number 11. It was negative 9 and 9. But it was kind of weird because it was like right in between. There was no little tick marks even. I was like, what? But that was the answer. So here's the answers. And I hope that's been helpful. And if you haven't already gotten my awesome free guide, it's the 5 math mistakes everyone makes and how to avoid them. It's free on my website, myersmathematics.com. And as always, make sure you like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more episodes like this. I forgot to put an E on my KYLE. There we go. Toodles.